evening and welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm Aeson Knight, and with me tonight is Suzanne with her new book. How are you, darling?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, and if this isn't your first book, we're going to be talking about both of them because one kind of hit, in a love spirit. They love to just, throw stuff at you, but one kind of hit during a different era, and you didn't get a lot of talk, but both of them are really good. So let's talk about your second book first, and
Okay.
that is The Confident Empath.
Right.
How's
Thank
this
you.
good?
All right. The Confident Empath is just launching as we speak, and I am super proud of this one. Not that I wasn't proud of the first one, but this one is very personal for me in that I am a full empath and have been for many years. And I include in this one a lot of personal stories about my journey. And I think that that really brings the readers into kind of a place where they're comfortable to learn about this actual subject matter because we are all empaths in one way. So the client work I do, however, every single solitary day, I am meeting some semblance of an empath in my healing work. So this is a big thing right now. And I think there's a
Mhm.
lot of confusion about what it is. So I really, really appreciate the opportunity to kind of clear up like, what is this thing called empath?
Right. And you have a great perspective on it. What is an empath?
The birthright of the human body is to hold empathy. And the way that we hear that in maybe any description is to walk in someone's shoes, is to be able to feel their energy, feel their pain, whatever we're feeling of theirs. But the
Mhm.
empath walks in the shoes and then they steal them and then they take them and then they own them and then they get sick because they're keeping a hold of them and it just
Uh-huh.
keeps going and going. So the empath is a complete stealing of the energy of sorts. And that's completely different than what we think of empathy, right?
Hmm. Very much so. And it's different from what people often get told empathism is.
Oh my gosh. Yes,
You
very,
know,
very much.
because it's always like, well, you picked up the energy from the woman at the grocery store and you're packing it around, and it's like, go take a shower. You know,
I love it, right?
let's fix this. Go take a
Yes.
shower. You picked up bad perfume. Move on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And what I find, oh my God, Asen, what I find is people, they're like right now because they're uneducated on this subject, wearing empath like a badge of honor in
Right.
a very non-productive and almost harmful way. And I
Right.
think that that's why this book is so important to anybody because we all do it to some extent. But oh my goodness, when you get to the psychic empath and the sensitive ones, these are detrimental to our health and wellness. And so,
It is a cost to the wellness and the health. I will give you that definitely.
yeah,
Um, why do you think we developed this skill?
I think that the human has the empathy birthright, which is a beautiful and wonderful thing for oneness, right? I mean, that's part of
Hmm.
what we're doing here on this planet, finding oneness, coming back together, yada,
Right.
yada. But I think our belief systems, and that's why the book starts off with shedding what you know, our
Right.
belief systems contort that because so many of us have been raised with really belief systems that are coming from everything outside of ourselves that are telling us we have to do, and fix everybody else in order to be happy. And so
Right.
I think this is what sprouted it, if we want to say it that way.
Hmm. But the skill itself, the empathism, do you think that that was used to like develop community building? Like, because I have a really firm belief that every gift we have in the human existence was developed for a reason.
Yes.
And like psychic was to do the precognition, the predirection, the predestiny. The healer was to heal the person. In different modalities, different ways. They all have different things. We all balance down to fixed bodies. Where do you think the empath came in? Do you
I
think it
think
was
that the
it's left over from telecommunication, or it's evolving to that point?
I think it is. I think it's evolving. And again, if you are trained in doing empathing, and I don't want to use the word correctly because that sounds so boundary like and limited, but if you're doing it with skill, I
Uh huh.
think that having the empath skill set is a beautiful thing. And I do think it's evolving into oneness. I think it does dovetail off of true empathy. And I
Hmm.
think that if you're skilled, you can take these particular attributes and really really change not only your life but the world around you. It's an amazing awesome opportunity as long as it's done in the correct way.
Right. So with that, where what are some signs that people are empaths? Like for the ones that have no clue, like the buzzword is all around. But what are some signs and no, you're an empath?
I literally just did an event on this last weekend, and I keep these small. There's only like 24 people, and I have them introduce themselves and tell a little about themselves. And as each one of them was telling about themselves, the next
Mm-hmm.
person was going, I do that, I do that, I do that. So there are telltale signs that these
Mm-hmm.
empaths are kind of like sharing. A lot of them are, I'm the one everybody tells their problems to. I can't even go to the grocery store without picking up an orange and somebody saying, hey, can I tell you about my entire life? And so that's a huge one.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is just simply overwhelm. I can't get through my day. I'm always exhausted. I've got lists for my lists. A
Uh-huh.
lot of overwhelm for other things like lights and sound, crowds, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is just, I'm not actually well. I'm running out of fuel. I have anxiety and depression and stress, right? That's a lot of them. And
Right.
I feel, and again, this is the badge wearing that I kind of don't get right now.
Right.
I feel everybody's pain. And as a healer and a practitioner, I'm like, why would you be doing that? First of
Right.
all, that doesn't behoove you or them, right? So those
Right.
are kind of the biggies.
Yeah. So what? Hi, Shannon. Welcome in. Grab your coffee. Um, when they get to that point of what I call zero battery level, what are some negative things that's going to hit them?
Oh my goodness. Well, when we've got nothing in our field to protect us, and this isn't all about oogie boogie scary stuff, but if we have
Right.
nothing in our field to protect us, we are ignorant to what we are walking through, driving through, living in,
Mm-hmm.
etc. And I'll give you a really quick, simple example. I was teaching once a couple years ago, driving into a neighborhood that I wasn't aware of on the other side of town, and just kind of going to the class, right? And all of a sudden, this wave of sadness came over me,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, oh my goodness. So this can seep into the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, I brought this up at the class as an example of empathing. And I
Uh-huh.
said, but being psychic, I got to tap in further and find out there was a car accident there 3 years ago and the gal was killed there and blah, blah, blah. So I got the whole story. So I'm reiterating the story to the class. And this gal's hand goes up slowly and she goes, that's why I'm here. That was my girlfriend. And I'm like, wow.
Wow.
So these pockets of
Uh-huh.
energy are everywhere from buildings to spaces to land, and they will seep into our fields, which will then change our own frequency and oftentimes change our emotions and our physicality.
Okay. Um, so for those that don't know, you said the word field. What's a
Yeah.
field? Are we talking Star Trek with the bubble around us? Like where are we at with this?
The auric field. So when
Yeah.
you are an energy practitioner, if you are a acupuncturist, for example, you work a lot with the meridian lines. The energy practitioner that I am works with the chakra system and the auric fields. And so
Mm-hmm.
the way that I teach it in the Confident Empath book is that you can consider yourself a vehicle of source energy. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
source energy is the I am, it just is. It doesn't have a body. And so we are one of those vehicles or bodies. And that vehicle needs
Mm-hmm.
gasoline, which is that consciousness that comes in through the chakras. But the
Mm-hmm.
tank is the auric field. The tank is the fuel templated over and over and over, kind of like the inside of a jawbreaker,
Mm-hmm.
interpenetrating colors of tanks that are your safety net and your discernment tool. So that's the fields that I'm referring to.
Okay. Very cool.
Yep.
Um, you know, so with that, what are some real life things that go on with empaths? They get tired for no reason. They're sad for no reason. I'm sure they're probably being diagnosed, I don't know, bipolar. And it's like we can't find a chemical, but you're emotionally bipolar. We're seeing that behavior. You know,
Yep.
you're walking down the street, you're laughing your head off, you bust into wheeling keels 15 feet in, and then you hit a light pole and you just freak the hell out and go running on down the street.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
The empath's energy field does almost like a roller coaster. So I am depleting myself because my fields have holes. My gas tank has holes. Think of if you poured gas into your tank in your car and you were sitting in the gas station parking lot with no tank, all rusted, all yucky.
Hmm.
By the time you hit the street, you got nothing, right? So
Right.
this is the empath in terms of the energy. And then when I steal it, I get high and then I go low and then I get high and then I go low. So their mental, emotional, and physical fields are constantly up, down, which is exhausting.
Right.
But more so, I become the codependent of those fields. I take lots and lots of times we'll take on their sickness because we want to worry about them. We
Right.
want to fix them. We want to make it okay. So all of those things come from belief systems that are really thwarted in the fact that I have to fix you. I want you to be better. So the empath really goes through a lot of emotional upheaval in belief systems that they have to be the one.
Mm-hmm.
And I get pretty personal in this book because I was really good at that. And
Mm-hmm.
I was really, really great at being the one. And then I crashed and burned. So exhaustion will come,
Yeah.
sickness will come.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this is not your first life.
This is
Your
not my
first
first
life.
what?
This is not your first life. Your first life was in the corporate world.
Yes.
Yeah. How did you use this to your benefit?
In the corporate world?
Uh-huh.
Actually, you know, I did that for about 38 years. I was a VP of a very large international event and trade show company, and
Uh-huh.
I didn't know. I was
Right.
really ignorant, and I was so silly that I was like, oh my gosh, I must be really amazing because I can walk through this show floor of 150,000 people and no one's ever in my way. And I
Uh-huh.
didn't understand it was because my field, my aura field, and my power was just like, you know, sucking
Uh-huh.
up everything along the way. And everyone was dodging the energy because I was vampiring the crap out of everything. So I didn't know back then. I
Uh-huh.
didn't.
Okay.
So,
So you said vampire, and that
yes.
you know, I was going to tiptoe around it, but let's talk about it because you know we see a lot of younger people trying to label, oh, that's an empath vampire, that's a psychic vampire, that's a this, that's a that. I don't think that it's malice. First of all, second of all, what's your viewpoint of that?
Literally, when I'm using the word vampiring in this context in this book, and I don't agree with a lot of those either, so we're on the
Yeah,
same page there, because everyone likes to make everything scary, right?
yeah,
It's pretty technical. What it is I'm budging into your field. So the two auric fields of two different people are overlapping and transferring energy, which is called energy transference. So we're
right.
basically sucking from one another. The reason why it is named vampiring is because when it is not my original energy, I will burn through it very quickly like a Red Bull. And then I need another hit. And then I
Right.
need another hit. Hence
Yeah.
the title vampire. That's the simplest term. And it isn't all
Right.
about oogie boogie stuff.
No, it isn't oogie boogie. They're not just it's and you have to hit that orc field to get it. It's not like you can
Yes.
sit there um, and zap energy from any person you've had contact with within the last 30 days.
Oh
It
yeah.
is an interactional thing, and it's on an energy port field there. Um, in my opinion, it's like a little linking up of ports, and there has to be a frequency there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't just get it from people. And I think that's really what designates a difference in my book.
Mm-hmm.
My background and my work doesn't just work with people. And my experience on vampiring energy or overlapping or transferring and all of these things we've been talking
Mm-hmm.
about comes from every dimensional field. And this is the ignorance again, because we're not taught we're even multidimensional.
Right.
We think we're just meat and bone. And so this is the importance to understand that, yes, I can take it from land as spaces, multi dimensions. I can take it from timelines and
Mm-hmm.
on it goes. So it gets really big.
And it does, and it actually ties into a lot of quantum physics and matching vibrational energy, which
Yep.
is that energy of the moving object. And people don't think about it that way. Like they don't think that it's that much science behind what people are calling energy vampirism.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
I mean, people don't think about energy, period. And I think that's
they
what,
don't. They
right?
don't. They think that if it is solid, then it has no energy. That
I,
it is.
astounding, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, no, everything is a vibrational field. Everything is vibrating at a certain density.
And
So
this is not to judge anybody, Asen, in my
no.
opinion. And me, I do my best to not judge anyone because everyone gets to be at
Hmm.
their own space and place. And I always say, take what resonates, toss the rest, because a lot of people don't care. And
No.
that's okay.
Yeah.
And they don't want to know about energy or learn about energy because it confuses them or it scares them. And that's okay. There's
Hmm.
nothing that says that we all have to be on the same page, especially with something as enormous and infinite as this subject matter.
Exactly. And it's going to be a lot of different viewpoints,
Yep.
a lot of different ways to handle things, and there's a lot of different techniques out there.
Yes.
And it's a lot of different. And when I say techniques, you're an energy practitioner, so you'll get this right. What's the difference between hands of light, rainbow Reiki, um, Sui Reiki, and laying of hands?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just all light. It's
It
just all
is.
energy.
It's
But
all
what I,
energy. It's all that transference from one
yes,
to another.
yes.
Um, and I love that you point out in your book, and I don't remember the exact phrasing, but it's basically it's all the same. You're taking energy from one dimension,
Hmm.
implanting and filling in another dimension.
Hmm. And that's all it is. And so I've had classes before where people do that thing where they put their hands above their head and then they go boom, like the light
Uh
bulb
huh.
went on, because I do believe there isn't enough education out there. And this is one of my purposes to go forward. And I've been teaching for many, many years, but teaching the empath is so critical because we don't get this knowledge. It isn't mainstream in terms of the books that are out there. And I'm not knocking anybody's book. That is
Well,
not
no,
what I'm.
the books out there are great. And I'm
Yep, they're
sorry,
great.
my 3-year-old has decided he needs attention. So if you see me jerk this way, it's because he's trying to jerk a toy out of my hand. But it is very much a point of there's a lot of basic foundational belief structured and influenced information out there.
Hmm.
Okay, there's information on how to turn it off. There's information on how it forms, but there's no information out there basically of what to do if you want to remain an empath and survive in a world that is basically designed to interlink with you, but you want to be able to choose how to interlink with
Right,
what.
right, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that was the whole second half of my purpose in the book was to say, look, here's some actual hands-on tactical things that you can do. And one of my, I think, individualized perspectives on it, I guess I can say,
Hmm.
is the connection to the Akash,
Right.
connection to my higher self, and that we return this home.
Right.
I think that is a beautiful, awesome way because the people that turn it off really don't turn it off because our bodies are storing that information. We're like flash drives, right?
Right.
And so this is critical for us to say, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to close my eyes and my ears like those monkeys. And I'm not,
Hmm.
no eyes, no ears, no voice. And I'm like, well, it's still in your fields in your body. It is still
Yeah.
affecting you 24. These are the people that say, I don't watch TV. And I'm like, you don't have to watch TV. You know everything anyway, right?
Exactly.
So these are the things that are important for us to have the skill set to move it outward and
Hmm.
upward, in my case, upward to the Akash so that we return those files of information.
Right. Um, let's take a break, and I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
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 Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here, and as a certified spiritual life coach and shadow practitioner, I have thrown together everything that I have learned to develop a program that works for healing our shadow self and focusing on how we're going to heal ourselves for the future. I work with different types of energy work, such as EFT, TFT, and EFT energy. Reiki, access bars, and power forms. I've put them all together to create my own system that works. We also work with the tarot and the oracle. So I'm not just an energy worker and a healer, I'm a psychic as well. So you can go to Lady Gwendolyn Healing, find out all about me, and book with me on there. I love you guys, and I will see you out there.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I'm a psychic medium and I work with tarot cards. I also practice Reiki and access bars. I would like to share with you what a reading with me is like. It is a blended reading of psychic and mediumship, and I deliver these messages exactly as they come through. I'm not going to mince words or add any padding. I am a professional, reliable, and honest communicator. I have readings available anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour. You can book a reading with me at tracyvann.com. That's TRACYVANN.com. And no, I'll always tell you exactly what you need to hear.
All right, and we're back. Sorry, I had to throw him out. you're rambunctious, too much energy, and it's just like, go on, you got to go somewhere.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah. So we were talking here. What are some practical applications for the empath?
In terms of what they can do with it.
Yeah, in terms of everyday,
Yep.
not energy healing, none of that.
Yep.
Every day, where do they get the extra points on?
Right, great. Thank you for asking that, because almost every single client I work with as a practitioner, I give them the same basic first information. And if I see them again and again, I'm still saying you're still not doing the homework. If they choose to, they get to work on that field, that auric bubble.
Mhm.
So the actual understanding of how grounding into the earth energies and the cosmic energies, and then wrapping that bubble around you. And I have a meditation in the book and on my website. There's another version that's free.
Right.
And it's really understanding that bubble is the first key, because it is actually the discernment tool. But in conjunction with that are a couple of other things. It's really looking at the belief systems of my own self, in terms of me being the one, and the one that wants to help, and the one that needs to do everything for everybody else, and I come last, and blah, 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 blah. That's how that mind chatter goes. Everybody else comes first. So it's really organizing and looking at those belief systems at the same time. And then number 3, I say as a practitioner, the most critical thing is to start to really do the homework of really attaching to the feelings. And I don't mean the think feels. I write in the book, think feel. Think feel is things like this. Hey, Aeson, how do you feel about that? And you go, fine, good, okay. Those aren't feels, right? So when we say things like, I feel invisible, that wrenches your gut, right? So it's getting those feel centers activated. And when we work on those 3 things in conjunction, it starts to get it moving.
And that's when we have to get into more feelings. Like, I feel anxiety when I'm here.
Yep.
And then you have to break that down. Why do you feel that?
Yep.
What is that? You have to take it into the 5 how, what, when, where, whys.
And the biggest one that I move into, which is that middle time that you're talking about now, is this mine?
Right.
Is this mine? Over and over and over again, because the more skilled we become, and it's amazing, even when people don't have awareness of this, and I have them hold their heart chakra, and I have them just sit into the pain that they're holding there, oftentimes they will open their eyes and they'll look at me and they'll go, well, that isn't mine. How do I know that isn't mine? That's so weird, because it isn't mine. And I'm like, this is the beauty of being a human. We have knowledge inside of these vehicles, and it's really awesome because they're divine, but we don't get that much power because everything outside of us tells us what to think, right?
And when to think, and who to
and
think
how
about,
to think, and how to act.
and what's to expected, and who's to expected, and all this other stuff. And it's like, not really.
Yeah.
So, guys, get this book. Get you a notebook. Get you some pens, some highlighters. It's very much technical, but it's very much Suzanne's story, and you can take a lot of information out of it. So let's talk about your first book that hit the presses. It's debatable.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, it's debatable. I say it hit at divine perfect timing. I'm quite sure your publisher said, "What the hell were we thinking? Why didn't we look at the charts? Why didn't we?" Yeah.
Let's just say it launched in March of 2020. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And the concept and the title actually is An Energy Healer's Book of Dying. And we all know what was happening at this period of time. And so this was a difficult launch. And yet I sat back like, this is the most important information we need at hand right now to keep the fear factor down. But it was a bit of a rocky ride. But that particular book, I'm very proud of in a different way. This is very much about my story in terms of how I'm a mortician's daughter, first of all. And I've been around death my whole life. That was, for me, that was like family chatter, right? I mean, that was like, hey. And so death and dying was confusing for me as I went into the high school years, that people were scared of it. And so when I was healing, went in naturally to hospice work. That was a normal thing for me. And so when I was doing hospice work, I was actually telepathically questioning my clients or patients all the time, because I wanted to know what they were experiencing. And I was feverishly writing, and it was really only for me, Aeson. It was all about me going, oh my gosh, what's happening with you,
Right.
It turned into more of a training tool for the other actual volunteers at hospice. And then it turned into a PowerPoint, and then it turned into a presentation. And then all of a sudden a friend of mine said, hey, we're bringing this to print. And I said, what?
What do you mean we're bringing this to print? I bet that was a shocker.
I,
So you grew up a mortician's daughter. Now, which type of mortician's daughter were you? Were you one that lived above the home, or did they have a separate residence?
we lived in a separate residence, but we lived at the funeral home a lot because we took piano lessons every Saturday.
Uh
And
huh.
there's a lot of us kids. And so because there was, well, we had 6 kids, but 3 were taking piano. So you got to wait for the other kid and the other kid. So you ran around that funeral home every single solitary Saturday. It was your playtime, right? I
Uh
mean, that
huh.
was awesome. And not to mention just, it was my father's, he owned it. So we lived there in
Right.
terms of spending time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that where you began developing your psychic skills?
That's funny because no one's asked me that, so that's adorable. Thank you. I actually had psychic skills when I was small, when I was 6 and
Mm-hmm.
7, and then I purposefully had shut them down for quite some time because I was finding out I was the weirdo.
Uh
And
huh.
I think I was very much empathing in the funeral home, but I did not see spirit or know spirit because my psychic skills were kind of on hold. And
Mm-hmm.
then those came back with a vengeance in my 30s. So I did not necessarily feel the spirits, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know. I've always had a large interest in that lifestyle because it is a lifestyle of living with a dad.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not a medium. I'm a trained medium, but I'm not a medium. I'm more of a large. Meaning it's a third party conversation for me. It's just not like Uncle Jeff shows up to say, hey, you need to go fix your car.
Right.
But yeah, I always love hearing the backstories of how people open up. Now, you said it came back in your 30s with a vengeance.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have one day I've got an event that I've got to face a board meeting with, and then you just wake up and feel like you're floating on air and already have lived the full conversation, or how'd that happen?
You almost nailed it. One day I'm the hockey mom and the corporate executive traveling all over the world, juggling 4 kids and God knows how many more because I had a skateboard park in the yard. I mean, it was insanity, right?
Uh huh.
Never even knew about energy. And I walked out the back door as my husband was walking out the back door of the garage. So we were crossing each other in the driveway. And I kind of verbally vomited out, oh my God, you have to fix your meds or you're going to die because your whole body's black inside. And he goes, what? And I said, and then I repeat it. And then I go, I can see inside your body. And then I stopped and I said, oh my God, I can see inside your body. What? Why can I see inside your body?
Uh
And then
huh.
that's literally how fast it all came back. And it was terrifying. It was
Yeah,
terrifying.
very much so. And
Yeah.
that's what I hear about what I call second blooming psychics. They get it when they're young and they lock it up because it's wrong. It's bad. And then
Yep.
when it comes out, it's at the most inarmament time, at the most inconvenient place.
Yep.
And it's like, oh my God.
And at that time, this Aeson, this wasn't like this is 20 years ago. We did
Yeah,
not have a lot of energy practitioners around. It wasn't like I could Google a me. And
right.
so I literally Googled a you. I Googled a tarot reader because
Uh
I'm
huh.
like, I don't know what's happening here. And so I went to see a medium and a tarot reader. And yeah, I mean, I just was floored. I didn't know
Right.
what to do. So it was a big year for me. And the funny part
Always is.
is that it came back very, very quickly. Everything just and
Right.
so
Yeah. And when it does, I have questions. So there's some habits I've noticed that the physical body takes on. Did you change physical form?
yeah, I got fatter because
Of
that's
course, you had to increase. You had to increase your shielding.
yeah, which to me, of course, not knowing what was happening, I'm like, well, this isn't any fun. I don't want to do this kind of work because I put on 15 pounds. What is that all about? So yeah,
Right.
I mean, that was my very first thing, and
Yeah.
that was a lot. So
Yeah.
it was. I kind of went hit or miss all by myself, man. I mean, I was a self learner. So
Cool. Very
yeah,
cool. So,
yeah.
what's your practice now?
What do I do now?
Yeah.
I work on clients probably about 3 days a week, full time as a practitioner. So that, I have completely booked those days for that kind of practice,
Right.
which I then bring forward to a brand new podcast that we just kicked off called Energy Unleashed, where we bring client stories forward and then kind of unleash them or talk about them deeper from a perspective from someone who is not a practitioner, who is my co host.
Right.
And those are super fun. So that's cool. I am also for my own Suzanne work.
Hmm.
Um, I do, well, practitioner wise still, I do classes, I do training, I do videos. I have an online membership, which I'm really committed to. which I
Cool.
believe in so strongly. So that's all that package.
So
But
you're building a community. You're
yes,
working every 3 days for clients, and I'm going to go ahead
yep,
and ship your link out. It'll be linked in the description for our
thank you.
podcast listeners, so you can go and find that out. Now, are you virtual? Are you physical? Are we
I do both.
touring?
During that time period we just spoke of when my last book launched,
Mm-hmm.
I literally got super busy because I am a telepath and I can do remote. So I was doing everything remote. So I actually was busier than
Mm-hmm.
most folks were. And I continue to do both. I prefer it. The only thing I prefer to do in person is a land because I love to walk the land in a building. I mean, I can do those remote, but I love when I get to walk in those
Right.
spaces. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
people I can do
it's
either way though.
easier. It's easier.
Yeah, and
Do it that way.
I just did a gentleman from Sydney the other day, so that was cool. I've done one in
Cool.
Poland a couple times, in Russia one time, so it's been fun to do that as well. So yeah, I can be anywhere, so
Mhm.
that's really cool. And my sad right now is I have not been able to get back to Peru quite yet. Peru is a little unstable still in terms of their political actions,
I
and
think you're looking at about 4 years before you'll be able to get back.
and it breaks my heart. Seriously, it breaks my heart. I've been there 7 years in a
Mhm.
row up until when everything, fell apart.
Blew
And
up.
it's just, it breaks my heart. I love
Right.
those people in that land.
Yeah.
So
Well, what do you think about the global
about the global,
energy?
I think it's crazy insane, but I also think people are so scared about it crazy and insane.
Right.
And my goal in teaching and working and presenting is that it doesn't have to be scary. This is purposefully happening. Yes, our globe is extremely changing, and
Mhm.
it should be, and it gets to be. And should isn't a word I use a whole lot, but it gets
Right.
to be. This
Right.
planet is changing. It is raising its frequency, and we forget. We all talk about ascension in this community. Oh,
Right.
I'm doing the ascension process. Actually, the planet is the primary ascender here. We
Right.
are tagging along. So I
I
think
would
the
agree.
energy of the planet's great. I
Yeah.
do.
I think the energy of the planet is transforming. It
Yeah.
is transforming, and then it does it. I mean, we can see this pattern even in our community. If you will look at what was being studied during the 20s, 1920s, 1820s, 1720s, you will see the same transformations occurring.
Awesome.
Okay, 1920s we got mediumship solidified.
Yes.
1820s we got the tarot solidified, and we began these secret societies that began working on the magical realms
Yep. My
and
favorite.
developing words like angel work,
Yep.
that type of thing. The 1720s is when we began realizing that there was real medicine in herbs.
Cool. I see. I didn't know that. Your wonderful wealth of knowledge. That's fascinating.
It's lovely stuff to know when you're getting a master's in metaphysics. It really doesn't work all the time for a dinner table. But I was really interesting that we hit 2020 and it was like, oh crap, we know this lesson.
Yep.
We've lived this lesson. Now let's ride this lesson. And a lot of us in the community knew what was going on.
Yep.
Now, were you working in this industry and working in energy during 9/11?
Oh God. What's that? That was actually 2000.
Then
Just right after that. Just right
just right
after that.
after that.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. I
Yeah.
started in, that's so funny. That's interesting. I started actually in 2002. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The reason I
Maybe
asked
that
is
was
there was a
maybe
lot
that
of
was the
unrest.
wake up call.
Well, it was because it was interesting from the psychic community. Everyone knew something was going to happen.
Yeah.
Nobody pinpointed where. No one. It's like everyone knew there was an alert. It's kind of like alert, weather alert, what psychic alert, but no one knew what it was.
Yeah.
And then coming around the next turn in 2020, it was like, okay, there was some people that were doing the fear mongering because, of course, we had the world is ending people, and they just extending the date. Like the world is going to end on this date. The world is going to end on this date. And then you had others that were doing weird stuff. And what I mean by weird stuff is, I'm going to teach class online. I really don't feel like driving up there. Let's figure out how to do that. I'm going to go write this book. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. I mean, it's like different people, and you can see the moguls that just started doing different stuff. Hay
Yep.
House launched a podcast that year. And it's like,
Yep.
they're a book publisher. Why would they do a podcast?
And
And then
then
you see
boom.
people just totally jump out of the business.
Yeah.
Like whatever they saw, they just quit. So I often wonder, where were and I think these are questions. Where were you when this occurred? And I find it highly interesting that your book launched. So you reached a trajectory up
Mm-hmm.
that provided the information
Mm-hmm.
for those that wanted it and needed it. And of course, I'm sure publicists were going, "Oh God, no." But at the same time, it's like, "Oh God, yes, that's what needs to hit here."
Yep. Yeah, I was working because I'm remembering now that you're bringing it up. I was in Seattle with a show. I was doing a show
Hmm.
that I was running corporate, and it was a big show. And we got the last minivan
Hmm.
available in the state to get the heck out of there and
Uh
drive
huh.
all the way across the country. But scarier was all of my employees coming from all over the globe getting back home, and it was a lot. It was a lot.
Right.
So yeah, I wasn't in this yet at that time, but boy, I got in it really quickly after that. I
Right.
do believe there's divine wake-up calls, and that's a cool thing to ponder. Thanks for bringing
Yeah.
that up.
Because looking at the stream of consciousness, the stream of energy.
Yep.
Um. So tell us about your energy practitioner sort of sessions. What are they like?
My energy practitioner, what?
Your
Sessions?
sessions, what are
Sessions?
they like?
Yeah, well, why I think it's so cool to get to be me is
Hmm.
that every single solitary one is different. I mean, that's what's so fascinating. And I even have clients that I work on, every single month, and even theirs are different every time because it is all interdependent on everything. But typically speaking, someone comes in and they do it what we call a client intake. So I'll pull a card and it will
Hmm.
kind of set the feeling for you might want to think about this or ponder this. And those always kind of make some sense. You know how that goes when you're
Right.
pulling cards. And we go through their intake, and then we move into, and I'm already empathing, meaning I'm becoming them. So I'm
Hmm.
standing and working the entire time we're talking. And
Hmm.
they are so funny because it's like, I already am feeling better. It's so weird. And I'm like, because I just telepathically am working as we're chatting. And then we will move into a full body scan most of the time. And the reason I do this one, Aeson, is because I want people to demystify this work. I want them to understand that this is already you. You can feel this. You can do this at home. This is your homework if you choose to see it that way. And
Hmm.
when they identify everything that they're holding and they can counter cross it to, oh, this is the belief behind it per the
Hmm.
chakra consciousness level, etc., they start to take ownership right there. But
Hmm.
then more so, it's a benchmark for them when they're done with the work on the table, which comes next.
Hmm.
And that is all telepathic work again.
Hmm.
Hence why I can do remote. That's kind of short, actually. And that will depend on what it is. Most of the time,
Right.
I'm not even near them at all. And my favorite when they do that is like, oh my gosh, Suzanne, when you were holding my feet, and I'm like, yep. And then when I tell them I'm sitting I have an exercise ball where I sit to do the work, and it's all the
Hmm.
way across the room. And I say, I never leave that ball. And they're like, no, because you were like holding my hand. And I'm like, it wasn't me. So those are my favorites.
Uh
And
huh.
then when we're done with that, then we have a little recap for homework. So that's kind of how they flow.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. What's some of the results you've seen?
Oh my goodness. I have seen so many people blossom. And I was telling someone yesterday, the joy for me is to see someone just literally explode into knowledge in a second where all the pieces come together. I just had a
Right.
gal here the other day that was so overwhelmed in her empathing. She was taking care of everyone, never took care of herself,
Hmm.
falling to pieces physically and emotionally, just completely depressed and stressed, and had no concept or idea of why she even wanted to be on this planet. I mean, that's where people are at these days.
Right.
And when she left this room, she stood up and she said, I will never, ever look at the world the same again. Thank you. Thank you. And again, it's not just me. This is a collaboration, right? I
Right.
mean, I give the energy, they receive. So
Hmm.
they will start to see ownership in
Hmm.
terms of you are gifted this body. This is important for you. And so I've seen corporate people slow down and change their lives. I've seen especially young mothers try to understand the madness that they're in. And then all of a sudden the light bulb goes on and it's like, nope, I'm taking every Thursday for me. And, those kinds of changes
Hmm.
are really obvious. But I
Right.
also have massive physical changes too. I had a client who was going in to get an actual surgery on her, I think it was her knee. and we found out that it was all belief systems around her mother. We cleared it completely. She walked perfectly fine, and she canceled the surgery, and she's never had a problem since.
Wow, interesting.
So again, this is her allowing that understanding of the belief system, because
Hmm.
I can be as powerful as I get to be, but if you don't choose to receive it, you're the
Right,
one who's doing that work, right? And she
right.
chose that, and I was thrilled. So those are really biggies. And then spaces and places have been fascinating. I mean, I get into the paranormal where it's all, oh my God, we've got ghost activity, and all of a sudden it's great. And those are really fun to see immediate results.
Hmm. Right. And those work really well for what I call repeaters.
Repeaters?
Yeah, repeaters, where
Yeah.
there's not an actual entity there. It's
Yeah.
a replay.
Oh, I just call them loop. Oh God, I lost my little train of thought. I call them something else, but same thing. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a loop pattern. Yeah.
yeah, it's a loop pattern. Like every, 2 o'clock in the morning, the cabinet door opens up and the old lady pulls out the coffee cup and sets it down. And,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know,
But I have been to places that are definitely, definitely haunted, and I have been to a lot of, including the hotel where I work at a lot, which is up in Sauk Center in Minnesota here, and it is really a haunted. It's on the hotel registry for haunted
uh-huh,
hotels, which is super cool. And I have been really blessed to be able to work there for 10 years in many capacities, and that sucker is like, if you are going in with
hmm,
a negative attitude and really having that nastiness,
right,
that you can pull that out there, but a lot of it, oh, my word's residual. A lot of it is residual energy
yeah,
loop patterns, but a lot of it is ghosts there, and it's fascinating. So we
yeah,
get the whole mix, right?
yeah. The Lafayette here in Ohio, I love going there. They have a wonderful bellman that always opens the door for me. They have lovely housekeepers that come through and they're like, "Hi, you can see me, I can see you."
That's
It's been gone forever.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
when I do this event, I actually do a full channel. We call it
Hmm.
morphing. I do a full channel body, letting the spirits move through my template, and I
Right.
push it out so I'm in there. I don't lose control of this, but the actual, it's the Palmer house. And one
Uh-huh.
of the most ghosts that comes through me all the time is Mrs. Palmer. And I know I'm Mrs. Palmer in 2 seconds because my
Uh-huh.
back straightens up, because it's 1900s, right?
Right.
I can feel the corset, everything changes, and I'm like, here goes Mrs. Palmer. So
Yep. Fussing about the housekeeping, fussing about everything.
so fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that ain't my couch. And I love that.
Or why are you a woman and you're dressed in pants and a flannel shirt? You aren't dressed correctly because their
Right.
time genre is off.
The time matters off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, another one I go to is the Anchorage. I've gone to is the Anchorage, and every time I'm there, the whole household of servants are still there. And I'm
Yeah.
like, guys, can we go home?
Yeah.
No, we are home.
Yeah. And they are home. And so this is another thing I have a problem sometimes with spiritual people and practitioners or ghost hunters or whatever. We're going to cross all these, we're going to cross all these beings. Well, you have no right to cross anything until you ask permission. That is
Right.
not what you're there to do. And I've had
Right.
kind of a butting of heads on that in the past, that this is not your job to just go in and cross everything, right?
Well, I agree because some people's heaven is staying in the home that they built with their husband, from
Yes.
one stone to another stone, and living that life, and you're invading that space,
Yes.
and they're fine with it as long as hold up to some ideals. Like if you're going to repaint the music room, at least make sure that it's a proper color.
Or get this little quickie. I had a house that was full of ghost energy, and the gal had taken the formal dining room and turned it into their band room. And they
Uh-huh.
played heavy rock metal, and they all smoked a ton of weed, and they were just partying as they played. And this poor woman from the early 1900s was doing this with her ears, like holding the ears, going, "What are they doing in my dining room?"
Right.
She couldn't understand why her beautiful, gorgeous glass chandelier was covered with black, spiders and things. She just couldn't
Hmm.
get it. It was
Yeah.
adorable.
It was
Yeah.
a door. I've run into that too. I've
Yeah.
run into discovering that some of the Victorian homes were built with air conditioning systems naturally.
Okay.
Like you open the basement and you open a certain set of windows and it creates a cooling factor that go through it.
Oh, that's cool.
None of the historians know this. And, I walked in, I'm like, open that, open this, open that, and like the temperature dropped 30 degrees.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I wonder if my house does that. Can you scan from here?
We'll talk later. Email me the address and I'll let you know.
That's adorable. Yeah, no, I have a 1913 home. Funny enough, people
Mhm.
always ask me, well, is your house haunted? And
Right.
yes, it is. Of course it is, but I don't feel my own ghosts. You know how that is after a
Yeah,
while. You don't
you're
get
used to
any,
it.
right?
Yeah.
So, but my kids did. My daughter was really cute when she was younger in high school, and it would be the mom, can you get the dead lady out of the hallway? I'm trying to do my homework. So that was kind of a normal thing in our house.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, it was
How's
fun.
your husband?
Chuck I've been married, 39, almost 40 years coming on here. And he is very much been open to this since the very beginning. At the very beginning, I told him everything. And he shared and he supported. He's now still supports, but I don't tell him much of anything anymore because, and this is not to sound arrogant, I've got to a space that he doesn't understand it anymore. He
Right.
doesn't understand like the architecture of holographic multi-dimensions. He doesn't get that. And I'm not going to bring him through a learning curve, but he's always been beautiful and wonderful to support. And, he's that guy that stays home when I'm doing all the crazy events and takes care of the dogs. And so it's good. But yeah.
Well, the reason I asked is you were sharing the story of your first reading and it was on him.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Chuck, when I was doing I used to play on his body. That didn't sound very good, but I used to play with the energies and with my family, and I would use them and their bodies to learn.
Right.
And when I did the very first healing on Chuck, that was because everyone told me I had to use my hands. I used my hands and I was on him and glued to him and stuck to him. And yet I was kept blowing my hair out of my eyes, and I kept blowing my hair out of my eyes. And I'm like, I can't let go of my hands to like flick my hair because I'll lose the energy. This is how ignorant I was. This is years ago, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like with the, poof, poof to get the hair out. And then all of a sudden this realization came over me that I'm like, my hair is back in a bandana. Oh my God, my hair is back in a bandana. What is going on here? And then I realized I was fully channeling his dead brother. And I'm like, Chuck? And he says, yeah. And I said, do you feel like there's anybody else in the room with us? And he said, it's so weird, Suzanne. I feel like Ed is everywhere. And I go, everywhere, including your wife's body right now. So that was a biggie. So after that, he didn't let me experiment on him too much.
That's where you just don't tell them.
Well, I was like a little taken aback. That was a new one for me.
So. Yeah. But no, word of advice from an old husband to an old wife, just don't tell them.
Yeah. Well, this is where we're at now. I just keep everything on the down low.
Yeah. You walk up, you put your hand on the back of their neck, and you're just massaging the neck, and you're sending energy down through them to fix the nerve pain through their right leg. They just don't have a clue.
Yeah. I totally is that. Totally.
Yeah.
And then this is my new funnest one.
Okay.
I'm having a lot of stress right now. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I keep going, you know what? I got a really good book you could read. I probably said that 9 times in the last 2 weeks. Hey, I got a really good book you should read. So.
Very good. Very good. Well, honey, give our listening audience your web address to go find out about your services and where you're teaching and to get your books.
Thank you for asking. My books can be anywhere from Amazon to anything online. If you Google my name, again, that's Suzanne. So that's Suzanne, and it's Worthley, Worthley. And my website is actually just my name shortened. So it's sworthley.com. And my books are both on that website, all my classes, all my training, all my sessions, absolutely everything. And then on YouTube, we are under my name as well, Suzanne Worthley, and we are just in the initial stages of revamping a whole lot of things on Facebook and on Instagram. So I'm getting some help from some youngins so I can get that stuff out there in social media. So we're ramping it up.
Awesome. So guys, go subscribe, do your likies, your follows, check out her website. If you want a session, go ahead and get that. Thank you, Suzanne, for joining us. And
thank you.
Back when that third book comes out with a compass on the front of it.
I'm on my third book right now. So
cool.
We're going to stay connected.
Yes. All right, guys. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here from Rowan Temple of Light, and I'm here to tell you about our events this summer. First up is Beltane in the Hills, May 13th, and that is from 1 to 6. We have entertainment, we have a bunch of vendors, we have a fairy photo shoot. It's going to be exciting. You having any questions, reach out to Earth Magic or to myself. After that, we have Central West Virginia Pagan Pride, August 19th. That's at Holly Gray Park from 11 to 5 for the day. And we will have Sarah Masters coming down from Pittsburgh to be our keynote speaker. We have some great classes for that. So if you want to get involved, reach out to Rowan Temple of Light at Gmail, or just follow us along on Facebook at Rowan Temple of Light, and we look forward to seeing you out in the community. See you there.
Welcome back, Goblins! My name is Jason, and I am the host of the Esoteric Book Club, a podcast that examines titles on the magical, paranormal, the mysterious, and the strange. I release 2 episodes a month, in which I review books on esoteric topics, recap news of the weird, and conduct interviews with authors, practitioners, and experiencers. The Esoteric Book Club can be found on every major podcast service, or can be streamed directly from esotericbookclub.org.
Hi, I'm Aeson Knight. I provide tarot readings covering everything from love and relationships to your life questions and your most spiritual answers. And also, I provide a lot of guidance in finances and divorces and all those relationship problems. So, if you'd like to get a reading from me privately, not on air, you can feel free to do so by visiting aesonknight.com and booking your appointment. I also provide on-demand services, so if your life is a little chaotic, you can go ahead and click that call now button there on my site. It'll connect you to Keen, and if you've not been with Keen before, you'll get 3 free minutes to talk with me, so that's great for a quick answer question. All right, guys, back to the show. Enjoy. Bye, y'all.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I provide a blended reading consisting of mediumship, psychic, and tarot cards. A reading from me can cover any guidance you need from relationships with your partner or your family, spiritual, financial, any questions you may need clarity on. If you would like to book an appointment with me, check out my website, tracyvann.com. That's TracyVann.com. I have bookings from 15 to 60 minutes you may choose from. That helps if you just have a quick question, need an answer, or if you're looking for a reading in more depth. I'm here to provide the guidance and clarity for you. Let's just figure it out. Bye.
All right. Welcome, Joe. How are you, darling?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you? Sounded like a great interview. I sadly had to pull my headset out for a bit because your mom called.
Oh, night.
Yeah, she's okay. We'll talk later.
Okay.
She has a problem for you to fix.
Oh, Lordus.
And it's a compound one. Oh, it's a compound one.
Oh, she always compounds a compound.
It's a trip. You'll love it.
Always.
Oh yeah. So yeah. So how you doing?
Doing well. Letting the mouse choose the relationship question.
Ooh. Well, I do have. Am I the asshole?
Yeah, dig into that one.
All right. Am I the asshole for pointing out that my cousins aren't doctors? I, 31 female, am currently doing my residency in internal medicine. It's brutal, but I should be finished in December. I have 5 cousins on my dad's side. Most of them have non-health related careers, but Andy, 32 male, is a chiropractor, and Kayla, 26 female, is a nurse practitioner. Now, my dad's family has had at least 1 or 2 doctors in every generation. My grandpa and his brother were both family medicine. My dad is a urologist, and one of my aunts is a pediatrician. When I was in high school and college, my grandparents used to talk about how I would carry on the tradition and be the first doctor in my generation of our family. My other cousins were very clear they weren't interested. Last weekend, we had an early Easter celebration egg hunt with my dad's side. Some people are on call this coming weekend, so it made more sense to do it early. At the table, my grandma was asking about my residency and how happy they were to see me as the first doctor of my generation. Andy butted in and pointed out that he and Kayla are also doctors. I was frankly annoyed and a little tipsy. So I told them that chiropractor and nurse practitioner aren't the same thing as a physician at all. Chiropractics is pseudoscience and can even be dangerous for patients. Nursing is a great career, and I'm proud of my cousin for getting her nurse practitioner license, but a nurse practitioner is its own distinct thing. Andy got pissy and called me privileged and arrogant. Kayla kind of took my side, but then said something about how nurse practitioner school is just as challenging as medical school, and that it's only devalued because nursing is a historically female career path. My grandpa interjected to tell them both to take a seat, that they weren't doctors and shouldn't be claiming to be such. After lunch, Kayla pulled me aside and uninvited me to her private practice grand opening next month. She said she only wanted people who would cheer her on to attend, and she felt it was best if I skipped. I didn't really want to go anyway. I have very limited free time, so I said I respected that. Am I the asshole?
No.
I I don't think you're the asshole for pointing out that it is not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the little tipsy moment when you said that chiropractics was a pseudoscience that can be dangerous for patients. I don't. I neither 100% agree nor disagree with that. Given what you're doing in chiropractics and how you're treating your practice, because it can go either way.
Right.
Nurse practitioner, I struggle with that one.
I don't.
It is its own its own distinct thing, and I do
They are
think
the doctor's
there's a place for it.
secretary. They are the doctor's secretary.
Well, in some regards, though many are practicing like physicians. Hence
Understandably,
why she's
outside
opening.
of their field.
Well, but she's opening her own practice, so she's obviously in a state that effectively lets them operate without even doctor oversight or in a larger context.
It is scary as hell.
Oh, well, but that's how they're operating here.
I
Or
know.
just about, like, the doctor is irrelevant to them. Like, and I had a massive problem with that because I always thought that you had to be directly connected to a doctor.
Right.
Like, that fundamentally you're functioning as like an alternative to seeing the doctor. You're operating under their medical license. Like, this is all kind of overseen by a doctor. Like, you can't color too far out of the lines or the doctor is going to come in and go, what are you doing?
Right.
No. Is what I found out. No.
Yes.
No.
And see, this is my problem with them. They are the doctor's secretary. That is the original role of the nurse practitioner.
Okay.
Take messages, refill prescriptions, check vitals.
Well, but they've moved on into, like, you literally skip the doctor entirely. Like, you can have a nurse practitioner even in a doctor's office.
Right.
You can have a nurse practitioner never see the doctor at any point ever. And that's your total care.
Right. And that is not okay in my book. They are not doctors. They don't have admitting rights. They are not medical. They are not an MD or an OMD. They do not have the training. They do not have the skill. They do not have the intention to do that.
Right. Now, back to chiropractors, though. What's your thoughts there?
Chiropractors are good to set bones. That's what
Well,
they're doing, is popping and cracking.
Do adjustments. Yeah, popping and cracking.
When
Well,
they
and here's
start this, well, you need to go and do this, and you need to go do this, and this store across town sells this drink mix that you should be taking. This
or
store
on your way
across-
out the door, grab
Yeah.
your Vitalife.
Yeah.
You need this, 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 and this, and then you'll be great. Plus, see me every week for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
That's where I start to have problems with chiropractors.
Right.
Is like, if you're going and you feel better because you're getting a chiropractic adjustment, I think that's great, as long as that chiropractic adjuster is operating within an intelligent range.
Right.
Like, you're not putting stress on someone's body that it can't handle.
Right.
Versus someone who is, getting basically strung out on chiropractic care.
Well,
That,
this is what I've seen in my experiences with chiropractors. There's not an in-plan service, meaning they expect you to come back every week, and then they start doing stupid stuff, like having you stand on a shaking machine. That doesn't help me. Go and walk on this treadmill for 20 minutes while I see these other 15 patients. No, I have a gym membership. I pay for a gym membership. Go lay on this thing that basically feels like rolling pins because my massage therapist is busy and you really just came for the massage.
Right.
Sorry, I have no place for a chiropractor. A masseuse, you have the best in the state. But
I don't know. I just find it interesting sometimes because many chiropractors are respected as doctors and they end up advising, back during the panini. There was a big problem with chiropractors becoming, suddenly experts in science.
Right.
Of how disease works, and they were claiming you didn't need to wear it was horrible.
It was bullshit. They're not doctors. They should be charged with malpractice, practicing without a license, practicing medicine without a license, and they should have been jailed. And if we were in a different time period, they would have been.
Very likely. And I don't even know that we're in a different time period. I just think it was one of those things. It was so prolific. It was like, where do you start?
At the top of the list, letter A, and work your way all the way down.
It's like, well, because I'm sitting here going, there was a good chance that 80% of the chiropractors would have been thrown in jail.
And?
For medical malpractice. That's an intense number, and I don't know that it was truly that bad, but it seemed like everywhere you turn, it was one chiropractor after another, after another, after another, after another, that spent the entirety of 2020 building a medical practice in terms of disease diagnosis and treatment for disease within this range of vitamins and supplements and all these other things, none of which and supporting some treatments later well proven to be invalid, well proven.
And it's kind of a racket, okay, because the insurance company won't pay for chiropractic services unless they're either prescribed by your physician or seen by a nurse, or you see or another authorizing body will write the prescription. Okay, so these chiropractors get these doctor secretaries, aka nurse practitioners, in there, which they're practicing nursing. The medical world doesn't get really complicated, and they will write the scripts for the insurance company so that the chiropractor can run their little scams, like putting you on a shaky machine and having you lay on a electric rolling pin basically, and this, that, and another. No, I have no use for either.
I'm curious though, have you ever run into a doctor's office that you felt was doing the same thing? Because I used to I have had a couple of doctors that you could just tell they bought equipment. They got
Mhm.
sold on the idea they could make money for their practice by buying certain equipment
Mm-hmm.
or performing certain tests or whatever. And so they just ran every patient through it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had one doctor that I don't care what you went in for, you were getting a hearing screening.
Right.
You are gonna get at least once every 2 years, you're getting a hearing screening.
Mm-hmm.
Had another doctor that, like, if you looked at her from insurance, there should have been a clear idea that she's running a scam.
Right.
Because the number,
Mm-hmm.
the sheer volume of diabetic patients that she has
Mm-hmm. Right.
seems unlikely.
Right.
Because every single one of her patients got run through glucose fasting, or all the glucose tolerance tests. Thank you. And she got the glucose stuff delivered by the truckload.
Right.
Like, she, like, why would you stock that much? I didn't know this was such a problem.
Well, it's West Virginia. Everyone's fat here. Literally, I had a nurse practitioner tell me that. Yes, I have, and I fire nurse practitioners more often than I fire doctors. Normally, I fire the doctor that also sends in the nurse practitioner first. Because when I go to the doctor, I expect to see someone who has spent 16 years in school, not 3.
True. Well, and I think that's probably a large part of this poster's challenge, is that, like, as challenging as medical school, you really want to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's the level of education, the level of residency, the level of that you actually have to participate in.
Right. Absolutely.
Oh,
So yeah, I'm with you on.
No,
I really want to go with everyone's shitty here.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Like, I don't disagree with you. I think you're right. I'm just going, I think everyone's shitty here. I think OP is a little bit of an asshole for what she said after. She said, well, technically neither of you are doctors.
Right.
Because that's true, and that was honest, and I think that was fair.
Right.
I think everything that came after is like, ooh, no, that's an asshole move.
Right.
Like, don't trash people's careers. You get uninvited to stuff that you're going to regret not being at later.
Exactly.
Even if you disrespect their career, that's a family decision that you're going to regret that.
Right.
So, ways to trash your family relationships.
Ways to make clear your family relationships. All right, let's take a relationship advice. The poll is up on Aeson Knight YouTube. You guys to go vote. Who's the asshole?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
You want to hit send?
It's already up. The poll is up. Oh, send it out to where the channel is. Duh. Thank you.
Well, no, I was saying send me the relationship.
Oh. Oh, okay. There we go.
You found it! Because I'm sitting over here going, no, I only see one link, and that's the one I sent you.
There you go.
Thank you. Oh, so let's see what we've got over here. So, guy has stopped talking to me, 30 male, and is now talking to my boyfriend, 32 male, instead. My boyfriend, 32, and I, 30, both joined Grindr last year. I wanted to make some gay friends because I have none, and my boyfriend just wanted to trade pics with guys anonymously. Grindr obviously isn't the best place to try to make friends, but I got chatting to a guy and we got on really well and had a lot in common. We were talking nearly every day for a couple of months. Then he started to message my boyfriend and slowly stopped replying to my messages. 3 months on, he no longer replies to me and talks daily to my boyfriend, and they've become really good friends. I know this is very childish, but I'm feeling really hurt and rejected that this guy stopped talking to me. But I think it's made worse that he has clearly chosen my boyfriend over me. My boyfriend has said that I'll need to be able to politely pass myself when I see this guy, but I don't know if I will be able to. Does anyone have any advice on how I get past these negative feelings? I have a lot of childhood issues around rejection of peers and friends, and I'm worried this is making me overreact.
Shoot for it.
Hmm?
Shoot for it.
Shoot for it?
Yeah, what do you say?
Oh, well, this is a train wreck.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, Dan Savage talks about screwed pooches and being handed them, and this is a screwed pooch, and you want it unscrewed. Where to begin? Okay,
Right.
First, you were absolutely correct. The Grindr was not the best place to go looking for friends.
Right. It is not.
Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that your 32-year-old boyfriend's winning personality is not what actually made this guy more friends with him than you. I'd say It's the trading pics.
Right.
And I'd say you might be teetering into territory in which that may be, depending upon the nature of your relationship, a little more than you are comfortable with for monogamy.
Right.
If it's an open relationship, it may have even moved a little beyond that, because if you were looking for an open relationship with hookups with people you barely know, that's 3 months on.
Right.
So I think that's a little bit of an emotional entanglement with some sexual overtones at the very least. Then we have your problem, which is you have feelings of rejection from your childhood that you've not really gotten past. And then you've moved into a situation where effectively your boyfriend is completely unsympathetic to that.
Right.
As in, doesn't seem like there's been any work done, and maybe that's your choice.
Right.
To not work through that, but even if it's your choice, I would hope that most boyfriends would go, look, we have a problem.
Right.
As in, I don't know how to make this work in a real life situation, because if I go out with you individually, my boyfriend is going to be climbing the roof.
Right.
If I invite you over, you're going to run screaming from the house.
Right.
Because this is going to be a negative, ugly, horrible situation.
Right.
It's a screwed pooch situation. One, OP, I really think you need to get some support for your issues from childhood. Two, I think you both need to hop off Grindr for a little bit, at least until you figure out how to do this better.
Right.
And be more honest about why you're there. Because Grindr, of all places, was not your best first choice, and you knew that when you did it.
Right. And
you both are tiptoeing into something.
I want to read into the overtones here.
Okay.
If he's just trading pics, which, Reddit's much better for that option, then
fair enough.
Why is he going to meet him?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're tiptoeing
right
into an open relationship, just inching towards it.
Right.
I don't know if that was both their intents, or if that was the boyfriend's intent and the other, and the OP got on board with it and went, oh, well, that sounds great.
Right.
Just to find out that no, really.
Yeah. But
probably not
that line, boyfriend has said that I'll need to be able to politely pass myself when I see this guy, but I don't know if I'm able to. Why would he be seeing him? Okay, you didn't give us enough of a story here, dude. But in my opinion, and this has happened with us. I'll be chatting with a dude and he stops. You'll be chatting with a dude and he stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that happens all the time, and and sometimes it is the same dude.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. I don't personally, I don't have an issue with that.
Uh-huh.
Now it has gone the other way, and sometimes more to my annoyance than yours.
Right.
Is sometimes they get oddly intimidated by you, but I'm easy to talk to.
Right.
So then it becomes this weird, I'm your secretary.
Right.
And it's like, motherfucker, I am not his social secretary. I have enough shit to do in my life. I can't even go with, well, how's Aeson? What's Aeson been up to? What's Aeson doing? What's Aeson's schedule look like? Like, no, talk to Aeson, dude. But like, that'll annoy me. And it's because it's like, I'm over here and it's like, Marsha.
Yeah.
Just Aeson. You know, not saying I don't give a crap about Aeson. I do, obviously. But it's like, I give a crap that other people don't give a crap about me while talking to me.
Right.
And all I'm hearing is Aeson. And it's like, yeah, why don't you talk to Aeson? He's there. He has a profile. He's on more than I am.
This past few months, I think some friends of mine were going to send search parties out.
Well, and like, I barely get on at all.
Right.
But no, so that's part one. Like, you were being dishonest with each other and yourselves, I think, about why you were getting on Grindr to begin with. You found an acceptable excuse to be there, and you're tiptoeing towards an open relationship, whether or not you're ready to admit that. It's pretty much knocking on your door, and at this point, it sounds like it's about to knock on someone's back door. So you might want to deal with that. At that point, though, I think you need to have a bigger conversation that this is a bad time to do that. Do not invite them over.
Right.
Or be prepared for this relationship's going to blow up in a horrible, horrible fireball.
Exactly.
Because you're mixing some really bad things together. You've been dishonest, even if you had good intent or thought you did. You were dishonest. Both of you were dishonest to each other.
Exactly.
This has moved beyond just like, oh, we kind of chatted for a few days. Like, yeah, right. Yeah, this is 3 months. Daily messages.
Daily messaging. That is not friendship. That is weirdo. That is courting. That is looking for something more than just friends.
Fair enough. Like, I'm sorry. If I talk to my friends daily, when do I work? When do I sleep? Like, I'm sorry. I have some really great, amazing friends, and I really should message more.
Right.
But I don't got time for all of you peoples.
Right.
Like, it's a fair number of people. I don't have time to talk to each of you 30 minutes a day.
Please, honey, I've seen your call logs. You are not 30-minute a day conversation. You're more like 3 days.
Well, yes. Basically, I will spread one conversation over multiple days, but, it's usually to make up for the fact.
No, I'm talking one phone call can be 180 minutes, and I'm like, I am buying you. I am opening up your Click for Advisor. We are putting it 99 cents, and I will send it to your phone.
I'll be the cheapest psychic on here, but we'll talk for 3 days.
Exactly.
Like 72 hours times 99 cents a minute.
Yep. Alexa, what is 72 times 60? Alexa, what is 4,320 times 64 cents? So about $200,000.
Oh, okay, cool.
That'll work.
Yeah. No big deal. But no, normally those are conversations with people that make up for the fact that I have disappeared for months or years sometimes.
But, it's also learning, like, an interesting crazy. This is my little pet peeve on Grindr. Looking for friends. Okay, that's what Facebook's for. There's a lot of groups over there for friends. Matter of fact,
Mhm.
they have this whole portion of your profile called friends.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Weirdly, oddly, meet
Yeah,
other people, talk to other people, join a group, enjoy other things. It'll be amazing.
yeah,
Grinder's a hookup app. They're pretty clear about that. And I'm not saying don't be friends with your hookups, don't, hook up with your friends. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying be honest about why you're there. It is a
exactly.
sexual based platform.
Right. It's like going to Walmart to buy a car. While you can do it, it's not the best move.
Well, fair enough. Well, it's more so like financing. Well, I don't know. I can't come up with a good analogy on the spot for this one. It's just a bad move. It's
Yeah,
just a really bad move.
right.
And it's
And I think that
dishonest.
there needs to be a level of honesty with this couple. What you're actually doing, guys. What are you actually doing? Are you actually looking to open a relationship but doing it very cautiously and slowly? Most likely. Is that going to mean that your boyfriend's probably going to hook up with more people than you do because you're looking for a more demisexual relationship and he's looking for more a flesh tone quickie? Most likely.
Well, I think that the boyfriend 32 is a little more in tune with what he wanted out of being on Grinder
Mm-hmm.
and presented it as trading pics.
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of leaning towards the 30-year-old, the OP, kind of like little bunny foo-fooed his way into the situation and truly honestly believed, oh, I'm just going to go on here and make friends.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
it's like, bless your heart.
Yeah, that's so
No.
cute of you.
And still trying to claim the innocence, even though it's like, I'm sitting here staring at someone's profile with their naked body and sexual preferences, but I'm just here for friendship.
Yeah,
I'm
bullshit.
just here for friendship.
Yeah.
Just want friends.
Yeah. No.
Enjoyed your naked torso pic. Loved it. Glad to know how many inches you are or are not. Glad to know what position you are in the bedroom. Glad to know what you enjoy in the bedroom, because I think this is valuable to our friendship.
No.
Like, please, 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 guys, move past this idea you're getting on Grindr for friends.
Yes.
Friends with
Any
benefits,
dating
maybe.
app for friends. Tinder is not a place for friends. Tinder is a place for relationships.
Yeah. This is my friend. I met them on Grindr. Like, what do I hear with that? You done had sex or you're about to.
Or they're expecting it because you've done laid it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ... for everyone else. And I mean straight people too. The ...
Right.
connected is there for everyone else.
Right. Very much so. So, yeah, you got to get over it that he ghosted you. Well, obviously, he ghosted you because you weren't adding up to what you said you were. You have chatted for 3 months every day. I'm quite sure that there were some planned, behaviors there.
Well, yeah, you're basically operating an Amish peep show. I'm just here for friends, but let's talk intimately.
Right.
I'm just here for friends, though. So, I don't want to talk about that. That would be inappropriate.
Right. So
get off the app, man.
Get off the app, which might be a good advice for the Florida representatives.
Well, yes. Although they are trying to get off the app in a different way.
Well, no. Did you not hear what Glander has, declared they're going to do one more gay bill through Florida?
Yep, they will start naming and shaming.
They will start releasing the Republican Congress's profiles.
Yep. And there's some that are like, go ahead. As in the rest of us in the world are going, please go ahead. Don't wait for the next bill.
Exactly.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Like, whether they do another bill or not, I don't want this held over their head and it be extortion. No, go ahead and release it. Name them and shame them.
Exactly.
Throw the pictures out there, and I want to see full nudes on the cover of every paper in Florida.
Well, not only that, but I want to see full profiles with chat history because that's what they
yes,
want.
that would
That's
be
what
cool.
the level of Florida has been asking and trying to push through is a violation of full privacy of the children of Florida.
Yeah.
Fine.
And adults.
Yeah, and adults.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're going to violate their privacy, violate their health decisions, violate their choices,
Right.
in this supposed Republican idea
Right.
of get the state out of my personal life. Like here's my thing. It's not that I don't understand parts of Republican ideology and potentially have some agreement with them.
Right.
Some parts of it. I can understand wanting to get the government the hell out of your life. I can. I think there are compelling situations in which the government serves a purpose to be involved and go, no. You don't get to do that. You don't get to beat children. You don't get to rob elderly people. You don't get to rape people. You don't get to like, these are things you're not allowed to do.
Right.
Like, be decent human beings, or we'll get in your life and we will make it miserable.
Right.
I can also understand there are times that there's some overreach and some like, hi, this is too far. Back it up.
Yes.
Back it up. So I like, that's what I'm saying is I can agree with you on certain points, but I find it very ironic that this is your platform, and then this is what you do.
Yeah. Well,
like, stay out of my bathroom, stay out of my bedroom, stay out of my classroom, stay out of my doctor's office.
Yeah. Stay out of my pharmacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's not hard. It's not difficult.
It's not your task. We have hired and we are paying very well for the CDC to handle medical. Do I agree with everything the CDC does? No. Do I agree with the Food and Drug Administration? No. I think that they delay medications very much so that could be helping the U.S. that have proven records in other studies and other countries. And I think that it's bullshit.
I also think there have been some very compelling reasons over the years why those processes exist. I think that, however, there needs to be some compromise.
Well, I think there needs to be some look at some compromise here. There are diabetic medicines and diabetic studies in France, in Europe, that is completely different than what we treat our diabetics in the United States. There are compelling and information that some medications for children should not be used for children. Now, I'm not talking about hormone therapy. I am talking about certain drugs that children should not be taking because it causes permanent damage to them, and it's been proven to it. When there are other holistic approaches that could be applied, we are seeing this in other world situations, and we hire them to do a job. We do not hire our congressman to go tell our doctor what to prescribe us and when. We do not hire our representative to go and tell our doctor how to treat us. We hire them to handle roads and paying the bills and handling intercommerce travel and intercommerce finances. We hire them to make sure that the internet company does its job. We don't hire them and put them in office to go do bullshit and to waste my money, your money, on bills of telling our teachers how to teach. If our teachers do not know how to teach, then we need to immediately, and I do mean immediately, go to the universities and immediately fire those teachers, because that is who they hired to teach them how to do this.
Well, no, and I understand that. And granted, I still think there are some very valuable things government can do and should do.
Pave roads.
Well, within healthcare, like, if we're dealing with situations in which a doctor is abusing a patient, say like chiropractors who turn your, like, hi, my back hurts, into 40 years of office visits, a stack of supplements, and then a whole series of medical conditions because you were taking all the supplements. I think there needs to be some legislative oversight into the medical.
That's not what that
category.
is. The AMA, the American Medical Association. That's their department. That's what we've hired them to do.
Still, they
You know,
can partner and work with and make
right.
that happen.
Well, I'll give
Hey,
you that.
that should be illegal.
Right. But telling, it should not be illegal for, your healthcare professional to make healthcare decisions for your health that you agree with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It should not be illegal for, and we should not have the, legislators who are not in the pharmacy position, who are not in the medical community, or even looking at, I don't know, studies of how often a specific drug needs to be produced and how much needs to be produced to supply, to have a supply of this drug. They shouldn't be making a decision on that drug, on, how much Ritalin is produced in the United States, how much is prescribed in the United States, not their department. I don't let my plumber decide, how much green beans I buy.
Mm-hmm.
Why we are allowing and why, they were ever given this authority to do this is beyond me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Totally. So yeah, let's release it. Let's roll, as quoting someone else, roll that beautiful screenshot footage.
Yes, please.
Yes. And while you're at it, not only do the House and the executive branch and the judicial branch of Florida, let's have the U.S. Congress, the U.S. Senate. Go ahead and turn those over to Grindr.
That would be interesting.
Let's see Ladybug's profile.
I think I'm more. I don't know what's the word for them to be able to do this. Either these have all been pointed out by users or have been, noticed by staff because of something.
Right.
Or this means there is legitimately a department within Grindr that searches out celebrities.
Well,
as in political figures, celebrities, notable names, things like that. And maybe for good reason, to make sure that if there's a profile for like Sam Smith on Grindr, that is that really Sam Smith on Grindr? Because he's actually one, I think he got banned from Grindr,
right?
Because he made his name his own name,
right?
And they didn't believe he was himself,
right?
Which is hilarious.
Well, it's real easy because you remember Grindr is run by geolocation. All you have to do is see which users are in the Capitol during a Senate session.
Well, there is that. Oh, yeah. So Sam Smith has explained that they were banned from some of the biggest dating apps, not just Grindr, because it was assumed that they were someone else making a fake profile. The 30-year-old star told ET Canada that they have always been able to date, but have a somewhat varied history when it comes to the apps. I never did Grindr. Sorry, that's a fun one. So I think there is a potential that there is either, I could see that being user reported as well.
Right.
Like if I saw Sam Smith pop up on Grindr in my neighborhood, first I'm going to be like, is there a concert I don't know about? Like, what the hell? Where? Two, I'm going to have a whole other question. Like, is this a fake profile? Like, you cannot be serious.
Right.
You can't be serious. Like, say, like, really? Because that sounds like a catfish waiting to happen.
Well, it sounds like a catfish waiting to happen, but it's easy, because I promise you, they have the tags of he was at the Capitol on Grindr. He was at
Well,
this
especially if you're
location
reporting there.
on Grindr.
Yeah, if you're reporting there every day.
Yeah.
And you're going to, because again, all the location data, if you're going from the neighborhood that the senator lives in, on the street that the senator lives in, to the Capitol and back, every single day, it's really hard to be like, no, that's a staffer.
Yeah.
I think that's a staffer.
Yeah. Oh, and you're sending pics. It's clearly, oh, what was his name? New Yorker got caught by his wife multiple times sending
Anthony
pics.
Weiner.
Yeah, Weiner, sending pics of his wiener.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, well, yes, that is our lovely senator for Dade County.
And his wiener.
And his wiener.
And his child in the background of his wiener.
Yes.
Which created a bigger stir and a bigger issue.
Right.
But no, I have this whole thing though, here's the problem with adult sites and what often can be a little scary with them. Is you're using these platforms, you're sharing pictures of yourself on these platforms, and you are reliant on the good nature and intent of these platforms to not be capturing, storing, and tagging all this data, and being like, I know where every person on this app lives, and I can make some very educated guesses about who the hell they are.
Well, not even educated, easy guesses.
Some of
not
them,
even
yes.
Guess. Right here's the text message that has to go through their service.
Right. And if you're sitting there going, hi, my name is Joe, or like, here's my location to come over, and also here's a full body picture. And, it does make it easier. I'm just saying that all this data goes through their systems. We are very reliant on the idea that we have an anonymity built into this, that it would be inappropriate. And a fair number of users would probably balk at the idea of their data being released and would bolt from the service if it were more commonplace, if we weren't just talking about senators and congressmen, and if that's not who we're talking about like, we're just going to create a homo map and just map the homo, searchable with Google, is there a homo in my neighborhood, like it's a pedophile registry. Then I think you'd have a lot of people going,
well, I think that would be a lot different than what they're doing.
Well, yes. But it is fundamentally the same.
Well, fundamentally the same, but fundamentally, the senators are trying to hurt the community that Grindr has created. And use it. And we have seen this so many times from
pretending they're not on there.
Well, not only pretending they're not
a straight
on
married
there.
Republican.
Right. Pretending they're not on there, pretending that they, that it's so vile. And taking out these bills, it's like the proponent for the DAMA. The person that wrote that, less than 6 months later, caught with a boy in the back of the stall at the White House. Not the White House, the Capitol.
Yeah, I think so. Well, there was a whole series of scandals.
Yeah.
Like, poor Senator Craig. Worst excuse ever came out of Senator Craig. That's not what happened. That is not what happened. He approached me. I didn't hear him. And it's like, oh, bless your heart. You had all the time in the world to figure out what you're doing, how much trouble you'd get in getting caught at it, and that's the excuse you have.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But, yeah. Well, and of course that's how we got Craigslist. That's how Craigslist got shut down.
Well, there's that too.
you know, notice the lack of the starting to destroy our privacy there, and starting to destroy services there.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of this comes from the idea that we do not have a kid-friendly internet yet. We want to make the internet, the whole thing, very kid-friendly.
Yeah.
We want to do this entirely without parental involvement, monitoring, or action at any level. Which has been problematic from the beginning.
Well, my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't ask. Nobody should be able to tell me what to do with my dogs. As long as they're well taken care of, they're fed, they're watered, they're walked, whatever. Parents should have the same right. And if you do not want to do your job as a parent, it isn't my cost or my life that should have to be taken on to deal with your poor parenting.
Yeah. Well, and I think we also have to acknowledge that, yes, a lot of the realities of the internet and children is we just kind of have to hope for the best.
Right.
And yes, as a parent, you're going to have to be involved.
Yeah. You're going to have to do your job.
Yeah, you cannot, and it's not going to be perfect. Even the best parents are going to fail at this, and it's going to be ugly, and it's going to be miserable, and it's going to suck.
Yeah.
And it's never going to get better.
Well, either that
but
or
it's as
it
good
does
as it can
get
be.
better because we have to shut off that idea that, children are innocent. Children are, look at what little Johnny found on the internet. It's, the person's posting that's problem. No, it's little Johnny needing to know that the world is round.
Yes. Although it's not like little Johnny isn't going to miss key things and end up on sites he shouldn't.
All right.
And that's very easily done. Like one of the first experience of a classroom internet setting that we had was setting up a computer lab in my high school. And this first day that the lab is now open and online, they did an instructional class. And the instructor for that class had us all type in simultaneously whitehouse.com. For those of you unaware and about to type that in, please don't. It is a pornographic site. Whitehouse.gov is the official White House website.
Right.
.gov.
Yeah.
And there were a few of us in the class that already knew better.
Right.
But there wasn't a damn thing we could do in 3 letters
Mm-hmm.
to solve what just happened, which is 30 monitors now have a half-naked stripper
Right.
spread across them.
Right. But again, we teach our children about stranger danger. We teach them how to cross the road. We should be able to sit down and teach them about the internet.
Yes.
Or control it. One of the two.
Or a little mixture of both.
Right.
And know that it's not going to be perfect. And yes, things are going to happen. And your children are not perfect. And they were never little angels that were going to grow up to be angels. And
right.
It will be okay. There's been prurient interest since the dawn of man.
Mm-hmm.
We've all survived.
Exactly. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. Go check out the book. Go check out the website. It was really good. I'll be on later tonight to take calls. And we will see you on Thursday with Lady Gwen for coffee and tea. We want to take a moment to thank our patrons and our sponsors, our baristas. How are you guys? Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you very much for your support. Take it away, Joe.
All right. So, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Dottie the Psychic, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, and Devin. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes. Good night, y'all. Bye.
Good night.